Good day everyone. Today we will discussing the case of People versus Vallejo, a landmark criminal case decided by the Supreme Court of the Philippines on May 9, 2002. This case is very important in the Philippines jurisprudence because it deals with the crime of rape with homicide, one of the most serious offense under the law. More importantly, it explains how courts can rely on circumstantial evidence and scientific or forensic evidence, even if there is no direct eyewitness to the crime. Through this report, we aim to explain the fact of the case, the argument of both sides, the court ruling, and why this case remains relevant today.
Background of the case. The case started with the disappearance of a young girl, referred to as AAA to protect her identity. She was last seen alive in their community, and later on, her body was discovered in a disturbing condition. The findings show that she had suffered abuse before her death, which strongly suggested that the crime involves both sexual assault and killing. Because the victim was a minor, the case became even more serious and emotionally impactful. This incident created fear and concern in the community, prompting authorities to act quickly in identifying the suspect and gathering evidence to ensure justice for the victim.
Police investigation. Police immediately conducted an investigation after the discovery of the victim's body. They examined the crime scene carefully, looking for physical evidences such as signs of struggle, possible weapons, and biological traces. They also interviewed people in the area to gather information and about who we have seen the victim before the incident. During this process, Vallejo became the suspect after being identified as someone who was present near the area where the victim was last seen. Although no one directly witnessed the crime, the investigators focused on the connecting different pieces of information to form a clear timeline and
Forensic and medical findings. The medico-legal examination played a crucial role in the case. The findings confirmed that the victim had been sexually assaulted before her death. Injuries found on her body indicated violence and struggle. Biological samples were collected and examined as a part of forensic process at the time. DNA testing in the Philippines was still developing, but it was already being recognized as a useful scientific tool in criminal investigations. This case became one of the early examples where forensic science, including DNA-related evidence, was used to support the prosecution's claims and strengthen the overall case.
Circumstantial evidence explained. One of the most important aspects of this case is the use of circumstantial evidence. This refers to indirect evidence that when combined points to a certain conclusion. In this case, the evidence included the presence of the accused near the crime scene, witness accounts about his behavior, the medical and forensic findings, the consequence of events before and after the crime. Even though there was no direct eyewitness, these pieces of evidence form a logical and consistent story. The law allows conviction based on circumstantial evidence as long as it creates a complete and unbroken chain leading to the guilt of the accused.
Prosecution's argument. The prosecution argued that all the evidence presented when viewed together clearly pointed to Vallejo as the person responsible for the crime. They emphasized that the combination of physical evidence, witness testimonies, and forensic findings created a strong and convincing narrative.
The defense, on the other hand, focused on raising doubt. They argued that the absence of a direct eyewitness meant that the prosecution's case was not strong enough. They questioned the reliability of the circumstantial evidence and suggested that the interpretation of the facts might be incorrect. The defense insisted that suspicion alone is not enough to convict a person and that guilt must be proven beyond reasonable doubt. Their goal was to show that there were gaps or uncertainties in the prosecution's case that should lead to the acquittal of the accused.
Supreme Court ruling. In its final decision, the Supreme Court found Vallejo guilty beyond reasonable doubt. The court explained that circumstantial evidence can be sufficient for conviction if three conditionals are met. First, there must be more than one circumstance. Second, facts must be proven. And third, the combination of all circumstances must be lead to a single conclusion that the accused is guilty. The court also recognized the importance of forensic science, including DNA evidence, in strengthening criminal cases. It emphasizes that modern scientific methods can help courts arrive at a more accurate and fair judgment.
Now, the significance and conclusion. To conclude, People versus Vallejo is a significant case because it shows how justice can still be achieved even without direct eyewitness testimony. It highlights the importance of careful investigation, proper evidence handling, and the use of science in solving crimes. This case also reminds us of the responsibility of the justice system to protect victims, especially minors, and to ensure that offenders are held accountable. Overall, it teaches us that truth can be established through a combination of logic, evidence, and scientific analysis.